back, ladies and germs, to the analyst desk. David Freak Turley, Jason Kaplan, and we are joined by the one and only not Morello, Feral Pony.
Yeah, that is true. I am not Morello.
Can you confirm that you are not Morello?
I can confirm that.
Okay. Can you say light binding separate the good Lux players from the great?
Light binding separates the good Lux players from the great Lux players.
Might
I
be
don't hear a
Feral
difference.
Pony.
Sounds just like him.
Might be Feral Pony.
Could be.
Okay, so tell us what you do at Riot.
So I'm on the live design team. That means we handle game balance, we handle bug fixes, anything that affects the live game as it currently sits, not upcoming content.
Okay.
We do all the design work for that. So it's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and you also used to make champions as well.
I did. Yeah, I made several champions.
Who'd you make?
I worked on Graves, Hecarim, Rumble, and a little bit of Jace.
All right, and so tell me about making champions. What's that process like?
It's really awesome, to be totally honest.
Okay.
It's fantastic starting from like nothing and then sort of seeing it slowly build over the course of weeks or upwards, like several months. It's so cool. Just like I remember my first champion when I worked on Rumble, I was like jumping back and forth into the art room and being like, all right, well, let's do a Yordle and a mech. All right, cool. Let's put a flamethrower on him, a rocket launcher. No, and let's run. Okay, let me code this real fast, and then I run back and like you're just like giddy and excited. It was like 2 months of adrenaline. It was awesome.
So how much on your own side of the actual game design work, how many ideas do you have to throw away making a champion?
Quite a lot, actually. Usually, I mean, I specifically work on the mechanics of a kit, so I work on spells, how the character plays, not so much the thematics and the visuals, although we try and make sure that those all tie together and work together. But usually,
so he has a flamethrower when he shoots fire.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So that, I mean, for Rumble, that was like one of our strong themes was like, hey, mech, give him a flamethrower, let's everything around that because that's so cool.
Yeah.
But usually, honestly, we go through 5, 6, 7 kits often, or you'll have one keystone ability and you'll swap the other 3 out and be like, oh, and this didn't work, so swap in something totally new. We go through a lot of characters, a lot of kits.
And let me ask you something in specific to that, because I talked to you about this earlier upstairs, and I was like, how do you not get attached to your champions that you're making? Like, how do you not see them like, oh, he's playing Graves, and he's doing exactly what I wanted him to do?
I mean, I will say I was a little bit excited when I saw, Hecarim, Graves, and Rumble all in the same match. I was like, oh, this is awesome. That's like 75% of my champion. I'm like super excited. So that was great. But I mean, there is a certain level you do have to kind of distance yourself from it. You can't get too invested because at a certain point, there is certainly an advantage to being somewhat invested, obviously, right? Like you just make better products if you're happy and you want to be there and all that kind of fun stuff, right? Like if you attach something and you love it and you put that love in people, it turns out great. On the flip side, though, you can't get too attached because then you start making really poor decisions. And it's very difficult to balance something, for example, that you're super attached to or that you're too close to. And sometimes you might even get stuck on a really bad idea. I guess one of the things actually I would say for when I worked on Hecarim was the first ultimate that I had for him was basically like he has this giant charge, but it actually kidnapped somebody. He would basically like charge by and grab them and drag them along the ground for like something absurd like 3,000 range or something, right? And it was like the coolest thing ever. And I remember the first time I grabbed Morello with it and like dragged him through a tower, and then he died and he was mad and super ragey at me and all that kind of fun stuff. But that kind of thing is like. It honestly was not good for the game or healthy, but I was really loved it because it was so epic. And so after some way, you have to kind of step back and then realize that maybe that wasn't the best decision for the character. I mean, he turned out great right now, and he's really cool. So, but yeah, just have to distance yourself a little bit.
And how's the benefit of having multiple people work on a champ? Because I'm assuming it wouldn't be just you, like on spells only and someone on art. I'm assuming there's like a large group of people that really try to nail down a new champ.
Yeah, definitely. We have what we tend to call like a pod. So it'll be, a designer, an artist, a creative person, something like that. Basically, an animator, and you have the same 4 or 5 people working on the champion, like as a team, and that's really great. You sync up daily, make sure that everything kind of is a cohesive unit. On the flip side, you also get tons of outside influence. Like, I work with every other designer of the champion team as well, and that's also extremely valuable. So it's a huge collective endeavor, even though, usually assign credit to 1 or 2 people. But that's definitely not true. It's usually 2, 3 dozen people in many cases on the team working on something.
Okay. Yeah. So let's forward back to your live design experience. Yeah. Because you guys, you had the Season 3 changes, you buff and nerf champions, you do reworks. Tell me some things that you were heavily involved on.
So I was most recently heavily involved in the Season 3 changes. So I worked a lot on itemization, a little bit with static on the jungle changes. I did Masteries, was sort of one of the big, I guess, more projects that I worked on more by myself, I guess. I also worked on Season 2 Masteries, a bunch of that kind of stuff. Yeah, mostly that stuff.
So tell me, what are your sort of goals making a mastery tree for League of Legends?
Oh man, that's actually changed quite a bit. It's kind of a fun system. So this time specifically, I mean, we actually wrote a giant article about it. You know, it was like Feral Pony and Roku discuss mastery spells and mastery spells. That's definitely
masteries.
Yeah, definitely masteries. We'll go with that. Where we really want to identify the true identity of each tree. Okay. In Season 2, I definitely kind of missed the ball a little bit in the sense that we wanted offense to be the carry tree, defense to be the tank tree, and utility to be the support tree. Try to steer away from that a little bit in Season 3 and make them really all about offense, defense, and actually utility. So I really wanted to have a little bit more options for characters who can kind of beckon like, oh, I'm going to play a really offensive support, so I might actually take part in the offense tree a little bit, and then in the utility tree. Or I'm playing, like a lot of tanky men are actually, if they want that early aggression, early damage, they'll go into offense. So that was a large part of the goal behind that.
Okay. And then final question, because we are going to get into the game very soon. Tell me about one of your most recent reworks. What do you do to make a rework?
Oh, man, that's a long and fun process.
On the gameplay side?
On the gameplay side, still, same deal, right? Okay. It's a lot actually like making a new champion, except you want to try to keep all of the really cool thematic and cohesive elements of that champion intact. So the one I'm working on right now is Trundle, for example. We worked really hard to make sure, like, Trundle's kit, honestly, is pretty good, but, had some satisfaction issues, didn't really flow quite as well together. So that was actually one of the core goals when I'm working on Trundle was, hey, we want to make sure everything still feels like Trundle, but just make it better, smoother, visually, it conveys the game effects and the spell effects.
All right. And again, thank you very much for your interview, for your insight into Riot Design, and of course, always good to have you here. Thank you very much. But
thank you.
We do have esports ready for today. So SK versus EG. You guys are ready in the caster's desk? Take it away.
Thanks a lot, guys. And SK versus EG. Quick shot. This is one of those games where you just expect that a good game is about to happen. This is a game which could decide who finishes in third as we go forward. This is, third and fourth place going head to head.
And the thing that's very interesting to note is where they sit on the table right now. SK Gaming currently 11 wins, 9 losses. To the Evil Geniuses, 10 wins and 9 losses. So, if EG win this, they simply tie with third position completely. If they lose it, however, it means that EG are going to be within 6 games of the 5th place player. So what that means, if they lose 3 more, they're pretty much tied. If the bottom 4 team wins 4, 5, 6 games in a row, all of a sudden 5th and 4th are actually potentially interchangeable.
So a lot on the line is basically what we're saying for this one. Let's have a look at the lineups of these two teams, starting out with SK Gaming here on blue, with Kevin in the top lane, Hercubot in the jungle, Ocelot in the middle, Candy Panda and Nif, the AD carry and support.
And of course, 4 Evil Geniuses, Wicked, Snoopy, Froggen, Yellow, Pete, and Crepo. Both of these teams are currently tied up 1-1 in the LCS, but both of those matchups took place in Week 1 and Week 2, which is, in esports terms, an eternity ago, because the teams that were playing there are not the same performing teams that we're currently seeing right now.
We're also seeing, somewhat of a different game in terms of the champions that were going. The game has evolved throughout the weeks that we've had up until now. But in that 3rd and 4th position, they're kind of not at the top. They're not in the top 2, but they're also not in real danger of those relegation spots at the bottom, the 7th and 8th position. So, they're really fighting for seedings at this point and the chance to maybe catch up to the top 2 of Fnatic and Gambit, should one of them end up slipping.
And both of these teams are consistently underperforming, having upset losses, which many people would not have expected to happen. Very similarly to CLG North America. That was a name that nobody expected to be in that sort of 4th potential battle for 5th position, and they're just trying to find their groove. They're trying to find a way to win in this particular matchup and in this season. And these are the games that are going to determine who places 3rd, who places 4th, and whether or not they've actually found their identity. Because I don't know if Jungle Malzahar is the identity that's going to work.
I'm not sure either. I expect a bit more of a safe pick from both teams this time around. Well, let's have a look then at the top lanes for both of these teams, because they are our key players for this one, starting with SK and Kevin. Now, interesting stats coming in. This is before we played today, just to mention that fact that Kevin has 1 kill less, 1 death more and 4 assists less than Wicked. So very, very close, these two top laners in performance. We've seen complete, solid and reliable performances from Kevin overall. To be honest, he's got a big champion pool. We've seen him play Shen, we've seen him play Irelia even to great success, which is something that Wicked, by the way, has not really managed to do with his Irelia, ironically enough. And SK as a whole, you know, they're not really that split pushing team that we've been seeing, but when they've needed to, Kevin has been able to produce that for them.
Yes, what he ends up doing is SK Gaming use split pushing to force objectives as opposed to a strategy to win.
Yeah.
And, you know, you mentioned Irelia. I do want to talk about that for a second because he's played it 5 times with 4 victories. And he's the only one playing Irelia, in my understanding, mostly across the globe. Like, we've watched a lot of international events, North America, Korean, Chinese, and it's just not happening for them. So let's have a look at Evil Genius's top laner. Wicked, of course. In the opening weeks, he was nicknamed as Bricked for his very, very strong performances, but we haven't quite seen the same level of play to date. And talking about the statistics as well, he has 1 gold per minute more than Kevin.
Basically nothing.
Correct. 1 gold, 1 kill, 1 death, 4 assists. That is how even these teams are. And when you look at their records, 11 and 9, 10 and 9, it makes perfect sense. Nevertheless, Wicked still performs well, even when his team is losing, as you can see by that 4.2 KDA. And we'll have to see whether or not he's going to pull out something new or something exciting, because it's really up to him to protect his carries of Froggen and Yellow Pete and to make their playstyle work.
So before we get into this, what should be, in my opinion, an exciting matchup, let's have a look at what the two teams had to say about each other.
Right now in LCS, SK is the team we have to look for because they're on equal level with us, they're always around us. So we have to try and keep staying a little bit above them.
EE normally plays very, very standard. And even though they are adapting pretty well to the new metas and stuff, I think Froggen is basically the core of the team.
Coming into the game against SK, we're currently 1-1 with them. I feel pretty confident. We've been playing against them in scrims, and I feel like we could do pretty well against them. I'm not too worried about SK.
We won't focus in any lane especially. We will just play our game, and I think we can beat them.
So both teams thinking that they can beat each other here. That's and to be honest, factually, you know, statistically, they can probably beat each other. They've played 2 games up until now in weeks 1 and 2, and they're tied 1-1.
Yeah.
So statistically, they can both beat each other. But as we mentioned before, that was an eternity away almost in terms of, you know, the season-long LCS here. We are going to be getting into the picks and bans here in just a second, but quick shot, what are your thoughts on what we'll see in terms of bans?
It's going to be a difficult one to predict because of the fact that Jungle Malzahar was pulled out earlier in the day. SK are going to be thrown for a loop, right? They're not going to ban it, but it opens up so many questions of what we are going to see. The staples, the likes of banning out Anivia, banning out Lux, banning out maybe even Zed for Wicked and Froggen, as they've both been playing their champion, are definite possibilities. We've seen Threshers being banned out against Crepo as well, so it wouldn't surprise me to see that. Over on the Evil Geniuses side, they're going to be determining who they want to ban out. We heard Alex saying earlier in the day that they actually thought Ocelot might play Janna, you know, AP mid Janna. So that's something that if Alex knows it, you have to expect EG to feel similarly in that position. So we may see something along those lines as well.
Well, up until now, Kassadin was the first ban coming out of Evil Geniuses aimed at Ocelot there in the middle. Malphite then taken out. Wicked obviously did play that one a little bit earlier on. Jarvan aimed straight in towards Hercubot.
Yeah, Hercubot has been his go-to jungler and the one that he's had the most success with. And we've seen it earlier in the day being played by Svenskeren and just how powerful that jungler can be. So no real surprise to see that being removed from the pool. But of course, Volibear and Nasus are still available. They are still in there for selection. Zed has been removed out, so denying that from both Wicked and Froggen, because we have seen both of them using it. But there's still a lot of champions up in the pool. I want to say Kayle as well. We've seen her in a number of games today. She sort of fell out of favor for a couple of weeks, but it's going to come down to these junglers. Who gets Nasus and who gets Volibear, because I feel like they might be trading.
And that's one thing that we didn't see banned out there is the Thresh. We've seen it more aimed towards Crepo than Nif, but we know that Nif can play this Thresh, and that was the first pick in there. EG just going straight in and saying, right, you take that, we're going to take the AD carry. And our support with this first and second pick, taking Misfortune and Lulu.
And truth be told, Evil Geniuses have revealed nothing about this bot, their composition or their strategy. Everything is still available to them. They have a fairly safe AD carry in the early levels. They've got Lulu for protection in case anything goes wrong. Just wild growth your target, give them some stability and some life. I would like to see who SK decide to put in their AD carry role because Varus is still open. And we've been seeing Varus being one of the big, the big high-profile ADs in the last sort of 2 or 3 weeks. And they're using a lot of time to decide who they want to play and in what role because they're leaving themselves open to potential counter.
Well, obviously the game earlier on against Fnatic, our first game of the day, the El Clasico as we like to call it, didn't really go as planned for SK Gaming. They went with a Twitch in that one, but you called it right. Varus picked in there along with Volibear. Now,
in that matchup, we did see Nocturne in the jungle as well, so it's a champion that has been in the jungle for a very long time. We've seen from many teams, but not so much in Season 3. I don't know if Snoopy would be picking somebody like a Nocturne, but with the melee of Volibear, he's going to need to pick some sort of jungler that can either contend in those duels and those low-level invades, or he may go something utility. He was hovering over Maokai in the last few moments of Champion Select in the previous EG matchup.
Well, I have to tell you that the next one in line alphabetically after Malzahar is in fact Maokai, so that's probably a good call in this one with the way that things have been going with that A to Z from Snoopy, which it kind of fits in as well since Maokai is one of his top junglers in there as well. But of course we'll have to see. There is the Nasus, which is just a letter onwards, so we can let him off with that, and Akali, which we've seen Froggen play earlier on in the day to lesser success than we saw Wicked play earlier on in the season.
Now the key to that was the fact that Froggen kept getting caught. He was overextended a number of times. They didn't have the vision. He just got jumped on by members of Gambit because he had no idea where his opposition was.
Yeah.
If he plays it again, I expect him to be a little bit more wary in this matchup because of how the previous game went. If, however, it does go to Wicked in the top lane, it allows Froggen the choice to counterpick. And again, this is what's going through SK's mind. They went, well, we've seen Froggen playing it earlier. We know Wicked traditionally has played it, so what do we pick? And unfortunately for Ocelot, he has the potential of being counterpicked again.
I see that Candy Panda swinging in his chair, obviously nervous to get this one off and underway. Nif, however, his usual calm self. You can see there by the amount that each player is swinging a chair exactly how nervous they are. And Nif stood a lot more still than his AD carry for that one. But obviously last pick's coming in. We've already got the AD carry, the support, and the jungler. Yeah, Renekton.
I'm thinking Renekton is available.
Teams.
Yes, Renekton is available. We've seen the Shen was banned out. If Twisted Fate does get, so it's going to be Twisted Fate Rumble. So they're going to go for that global presence. It's what Fnatic used very well. It's what Bjergsen used very well. And they're going to go for a very aggressive comp here from SK. They've got good initiation. They've got a little bit of counter initiation. You can use the box from Thresh. You can use the Chain of Corruption from Varus to fall back defensively if you need to. And if you combo them together, along with Equalizer, you have a real huge amount of damage going down. And remember, this is 3.5 Rumble, so his ultimate no longer has an initial burst, but the damage over time dot has been increased, and it does tick the instant it lands.
Yeah, instantly. So EG then, what will they finish off their lineup with? We've got Misfortune, Lulu, we've got Nasus probably for that jungle, Akali. I'm going to expect it to be with Wicked this time around, although with Rumble being that last pick, they may decide to flip that around.
So in terms of the matchups, Rumble should be able to have a good matchup against Akali if they go toe-to-toe. So if Wicked decides to take that, might expect a lane swap in that engagement, which is looking like it's going to be the case. Froggen had the ability to either counter-pick a top lane for Wicked, or in this case, he's gone for that pick champion again. And we've got similar elements to what the Against All Authority comp ran. Get a Glitter Lance on somebody, get a Wither, get a Light Binding, and then allow all the damage to follow on. You know, bullet time down, final spark, and of course those Shadow Dashes from Akali to try and pick up kills. But it's fairly tanky champions on the other side. Volibear, Rumble with his shield. Varus has the ability to put some distance between him, so I think it's going to be a risky play. But if they catch anyone and kill them, Evil Geniuses have a good comp.
Well, I think both teams, at this point, they don't want to take too many riskers in this one. No riskers today, kids. But they probably, in my opinion, a team that it wins successfully a lot of the time has to take risks. You don't win very often without taking some risks now and then, or riskers, as the case may be this time around. But what's your favorite lineup part of the two here that we've got, Quickshot?
I feel like they do things very differently. So in the event somebody gets caught out by some CC on the side of SK, I feel like Evil Geniuses have the ability to kill them very quickly. However, if SK get some good engagement, either from a death sentence into the box or a good Chain of Corruption from Varus, etc., I feel like they have the ability to win team fights. So there's a fairly distinct difference between these two champions or two compositions. One thing we do know from Wicked and the way he plays Akali, he does build her relatively tanky. So expect to see something like, a Sunfire Cape or a Warmog, which is what he's built in the past, if the game goes that long. And he almost supplements the base damages of Akali with some tanky items and becomes this pseudo damage dealing tank.
Well, both teams, of course, coming into this match with a loss earlier on in the day, with SK losing out to Fnatic and Evil Geniuses losing out to Gambit. How are they going to match up here in this head-to-head? We're going to find out as we jump into game with SK Gaming versus Evil Geniuses here. And level 1, can we expect anything, Quick Shot?
We can always expect it, but will it happen? I don't think so. Just because of the fact that both of these teams have losses, and you don't really want to invade on a death sentence, a gold card, a light binding, or a glitter lance. So all of these abilities that are very, very powerful at low level, and you can see it immediately from both of these teams. They're playing fairly defensively. Got a couple of wards in the river just for some vision. Wicked is going to bump into Kevin and Nif, but he should be fine to get to safety.
He actually almost dodged straight into the Harpoon there, which would have given his position away more, but as such, the ward was down anyway, so they will have seen the tail end of him running away from that one. SK just going to be retreating again. Ward in the tri-bush at the top, in the curve bush on the top side of river. On the other side, an identical ward on the south side of the river from Evil Geniuses. Obviously, they have still time to put something down in that tri-bush, but actually, we will see Crepo put one down there in the top side brush in middle instead.
So Wicked is feeling very, very confident right now. He's going toe-to-toe against Rumble. It's one of these things where the early levels are going to be so important, because if Wicked does manage to get some damage down from that Mark of the Assassin and get the secondary proc, he can get enough damage onto Kevin's Rumble that he's not going to be bullied. If, however, the reverse happens and some Harpoons and some Flame Spitter damage lands onto Akali, he's all of a sudden going to be on the back foot. So he can hold out, but he's going to need to be very, very careful or very calculated in his low-level engagements to stay in the lane.
So Crepo and Yellow Pete there, you just saw taking away the Wolves. A bit of help here for Snoopy as well on that red buff to get things underway. Hercubot doing his red buff here as well with the help of Candy Panda and Nif, who did previously take away their golems as well. So a lot of jungle camps taken down very early on from both sides of the map.
It's something that we're seeing a little bit more frequently from the solo laners, in the top or wherever they're swapping, and of course the AD carry support combos, just to try counterbalance the benefits that, for example, Blue Side gets of double golem. If you can take a Wraith camp and you're, 1 or 2 minions closer to level 2, it just makes your life a little bit easier for that level 2 all-in. And against champions like Thresh, who can use the death sentence into Flay, it's powerful, and this is the trade we were talking about.
Yeah, actually Wicked doing a good hit there on towards Kevin, but he is level 2 already, and that was what we saw from Kevin, going straight in onto him with that Flame Spitter and the Harpoons trying to force him out of the lane, but actually it was good damage retrieved that back. That's really hot missing there on towards Yellow Pete. Actually the stacks of blight gonna be hit there. Can they finish off Yellow Pete? He actually used Cleanse and Flash there to get back to safety of the tower.
Candy Panda and Nif clearly winning that engagement, but Summoner Spells burned all across the board. Exhaust was still available for Crepo if they decided to go for their fight, but because Yellow Pete was so low, he couldn't. Now Hercubot has snuck up into this top jungle. If he can get that Rolling Thunder toss backwards, he may have enough damage, but he's just waiting for his time, waiting to try and put pressure on Wicked, but I feel like if this minion wave gets the tower, he's not going to be able to pick up a kill.
No, he has moved into that second brush though, which gives him a bit of extra time from that one. I'm assuming at level 3 that he does already have a point in the Shroud, but they are going to go in there. The flip back comes on towards Wicked. Can he escape this one? They still got good damage down. Kevin going to go in there. The Ignite is burning away. Is it going to be enough to finish him off? Yes, it is. First blood picked up by Kevin, who goes into the tower range once again. And, well, he will survive. That's good for him. Snoopy, in the meantime, is spotted by that ward there in the tri-bush.
Massive, massive advantage there for Kevin right now. Not only does he secure first blood, but that entire creep wave worth of gold and experience is denied to his lane opposition. So he's going to be behind on levels and, of course, behind on gold and XP. We'll see how that plays out, level 4 to level 3. If Kevin does stick around a little bit more, he may hit 5 sooner. Well played by Hercubot. Just popped on Rolling Thunder. Wasn't in range for tower to take more than one hit, but Crepo's been caught out.
Crepo going very, very low, and I said that Wicked surely by now at level 3 will have a point in Shroud. Actually didn't. Took 2 points in his queue as well, which I think it's still a risky play when you know that you can have Volibear coming quickly through those lanes at you. So either way, first blood coming over to SK onto Kevin, which is going to make that top lane that bit harder now, or that even more harder, we should probably say, for Wicked. Sorcerer Shoes award picked up there by Rumble.
That is massive right now because Rumble's base numbers are fairly high. Getting that early penetration and movement speed bonus from those Sorcerer Shoes not only allow him to be a little bit safer in the lane by being able to kite and avoid the damage of Akali, the penetration just lets those Electro Harpoons and Flame Spitter deal all the more damage. Once we see that Shroud from Akali, remember that it has been reworked on this patch, so the instant she leaves the Shroud, the stealth will wear off, as opposed to before where there was that sort of half second or three-quarters of a second where you still were invisible.
So let's have a look down the early CS. 40-24 for Varus over Misfortune. That's because of the fact that Candy Panda and Nif managed to push him away. As we are going to see Crepo here hooked in, flung back by Hercubot, but Candy Panda taking a lot of damage at the same time as well. And we can't see Yellow Pete follow that one up, but nice try from SK, just not quite got the damage to finish it.
So well played by Yellow Pete. He was positioned perfectly to get all the damages down onto Candy Panda and prevent them diving further. That's one of those situations whenever you can pick an AD or a support to focus, you always go for the damage dealer. Snoopy wants to help out his top lane, and he gets the Wither onto Kevin.
Wither going down. Can they get the kill into him, though? Wicked taking a lot of damage in the process. He's actually gone behind the Flame Spitter there, but can they finish off this kill? They need a couple more hits. No, he will get away just about.
Kevin just managing to use that overheat bonus on his scrap shield. It gives him an additional shield, but the laser comes out and actually misses there from Frog, and it was channeled from the river, and Kevin very bravely walks back into lane and actually sidesteps the damage.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. If he'd have gone back where he was stood there, he probably would have died to that one in the end. He's decided, you know, I can stick around for a little bit longer, and that actually saved him in the end, the irony about that one. So 9,000 to 8,000 gold, over 6.5 minutes in. If you look down the gold there between the individuals, middle lane pretty damn even. Twisted Fate, though, is going to come in towards his top lane. There is the equalizer down. They're going to go for Snoopy as the Wither is in place, but the Harpoon will finish off. That's 2-0 for SK and 2-0 for Kevin.
Destiny once again reigning supreme here in week 8 of the LCS. The first ultimate we've seen from Ocelot on his TF, and it secured a kill. Gold card into equalizer damage tick, plus his Ignite secured that. If there was any chance of Snoopy getting away, Kevin still had his Ignite available, so there was additional damage still there. Hercubot is sniffing around this top lane, trying to help out Kevin, and we've seen in a matchup against Fnatic where they camped Kevin over and over and over with the same duo. They may have learned from that one and trying to camp out Wicked.
Well, that was always the strategy against CLG. You camp Wicked, and then you win the game, or at least that was the theory behind it, which only worked for some teams, that's for sure. But this time around, it's working really, really nicely from SK, and the fact is, what can be a camp by one man this time is just helped by the fact that you've got that Twisted Fate in there with Destiny to make it a 3-on-1.
Yeah, and the power of that Destiny, we've seen it time and time again today. As long as Ocelot can continue putting kills on the board, he's got that Sheen right now, so we'll see if he decides to go for a Lich Bane first. It is something that we've seen from some Twisted Fates. Lich Bane with the double Dorans, it gives him the movement speed bonus as well, so he can get into position or close the gap for that Destiny even quicker. And very nicely done. We actually seen Frog, and he was moving towards the bottom lane. As you can see, both Candy Panda and Nif were very extended, but got spotted up by Ocelot and was forced to fall a little bit back. Now Hercubot setting up for his third gank, I believe, of the matchup. He is in the bottom lane, and he managed to catch Crepo out in the last engagement. They have no idea that he's in this top bush, but they did spot him on the bottom one.
Yeah, they spotted him just coming through there from that that deep water. I mean, he couldn't get any deeper in that bottom lane there. So nicely placed by EG, and Hercubot from that will probably realize here and say, okay, I'm going home. Yep, he's recalling right now. Obviously does have that assist to his name. Got the Madrid Razor in there with boost of speed and the cloth armor up until now, as we see some pings coming down the top side of the river. So whether that means someone comes up or someone comes down, it actually looks like it's going to be a call for Wicked maybe to come down. It's in his bottom lane. Yellow Pete taking a lot of damage. There's a flash in by Candy Panda. The cleanse saving Yellow Pete.
And he had his ultimate available. If he had thrown down the Chain of Corruption, he would have secured that kill. But instead, maybe just feeling a little bit brave, diving the tower, popping that flash, not securing it. He forgot about the ability. What it does mean, though, is it allows him to put a lot of damage onto this bottom tower. 3 champions bashing away. Snoopy's sneaking around to this blue buff side just to get some vision and to try to deny the blue buffs of Ocelot. We've seen SK time and time again actually not necessarily defending their buffs all that well. And I can recall performances with Ocelot on Lux where he was just denied blue the majority of the matchup and he fell further and further and further behind.
And that was interesting, actually, that Snoopy went in there. The creeps are still there. That blue buff is still in position, but obviously didn't feel too safe about it. Twisted Fate ultimate is going to be popped. They're going down towards Crepo. Suncard actually will land on Yellow Pete. Is he going to get flung back here? Hercubot just biding his time there with that damage. Bullet time going to come out, but Hercubot will secure the kill there onto Yellow Pete, and SK back off.
Now you see Candy Panda use his Chain of Corruption to try and secure that one out. So Ultimate wasted because the champion was dead. Crepo not level 6 yet, which meant there was no wild growth available to save his carry. Hercubot, he did try to get in range, but thanks to all the slows of the Make It Rain and the Glitter Lance, he actually couldn't get the fling back from Rolling Thunder. But they still had enough damage and enough pressure to get in there. So 3-0 in favor of SK. And Ocelot again showing really good performance with his Twisted Fate. Got 2 assists on the board and is pretty much a mirror of what we've seen from every other Twisted Fate today.
Yeah, Twisted Fate coming up big, that's for sure, here on day 1 of week 8. In the European LCS. We did see Snoopy take down the outer turret for EG though, and that was just a reaction to where everyone was on the map at that stage, all obviously being involved in that gank down towards the bottom side. There is Hercubot headed in towards blue buff, which is still warded up here. That ward's still got some time remaining on it, around about halfway done. But the laser is going to come across, and he did get stolen.
He got it?
Yeah, it did get stolen. Nicely done by Froggy.
The timing was perfect. I actually didn't think that he stole it, but he did. So the vision was there, and initially we thought Snoopy was going to try steal it, but now we realize it was just to, you know, steal that blue buff away. So very well played there by Froggen. He's got that additional mana regen to help stack his tier up even quicker. And we just caught a quick glimpse of Snoopy's skill build there on Nasus. He's got 2 points, 3 points into his siphoning strike, so he's maxing Q, which is not what we see from other Nasus players. Now SK realize they've got the vision advantage, and they're trying to push down Dragon. There's no one from Evil Geniuses around. I don't think they're even aware of it. They have a ward near the mid grass, so they may have seen SK rolling towards Drake, but they simply didn't feel comfortable enough to fight.
I can't go in for that one. 2,500 gold is the difference at this point. Let's have a look down the individual scores. Middle lane is very even. That's due mostly to that whole CS lead that we're seeing for Froggen right now. AD carries still 95 to 82, a good 10 to 15 lead there or thereabouts for Varus, who's almost at 4,000 to the 3,300. So now it's not masses of gold at this point, but obviously SK do have that bit that's separating them. Once we get in towards the team fighting stage, though, interested to see how this one all works out.
Yeah, that's definitely what I'd like to see, because Evil Geniuses, they don't have your traditional team fight composition, but they do have some very scary abilities in play. You can have Akali dive in very aggressively and then get everyone knocked up with that wild growth, get that huge stack of HP, the slow aura, and it just allows her to tear through her opposition so much easier. Right now, Hercubot is sniffing around this bottom lane, but Yellow Pete and Crepo have done a good job of actually fending off those ganks. They haven't fallen to any more than that one time where Ocelot came in with the Destiny, even after a couple of attempts.
Here we go, they're going for Kevin from this one. Equalizer is going to be put down. Kevin actually turning around onto Snoopy. Can he escape this one? No, he can't. Wicked dashes in one final time. And that will be first kill of the game going over to Evil Geniuses and on board Wicked.
And probably one of the most important champions on their team. They need Wicked to get items, to get damage, and to get the ability to kill squishies, because Twisted Fate and Varus can be killed quickly if he jumps on them. And we do see in the middle lane.
Candy Panda just hit there by the laser, not quite enough to finish him off as he dashes fire the lantern over towards Thresh. But in the meantime, Evil Genius has pushed down the outer turret here of SK, and they're still going. Actually, I say that, but they're actually not. They're turning back away and all going to recall. But job done, tower taken. That gives them actually the tower lead at this stage.
So tower lead 2-1. Evil Geniuses have been a little bit more present on the map. When SK have made a push for an objective or made a push for a kill, they have responded relatively well. We've seen Snoopy taking the mid lane turret when that bottom lane fight went on. We've seen Candy Panda taking damage in the mid lane, and because of the kill that Wicked secured earlier, they pushed the top lane turret down. As long as EG can do that, they are in a good place. Can Ocelot return the blue buff steal? It doesn't look like it.
Oh, it was, I don't want to say it was close, but it was kind of close to that. I'll give him his credit that far in at least. But yeah, that's another blue buff over to Froggen. Obviously, he had the last one, which was supposed to be Ocelot's, but he stole it with the final spark in the end. So that's good times of things for Froggen. It's allowed him to farm even more. He's now 23 CS in the lead. Got the Haunting Guys in there, along with that Tear of the Goddess and the Sorcerer's Shoes.
So he's definitely going to be, farming his way to victory, as we know Froggen can do. One of the most mechanically sound players in competitive league. Wicked just putting some trade down into Kevin, and now that he's got that Bilgewater Cutlass as well as the Spell Vamp from that Hextech Revolver, he's probably going to be able to outtrade, because there's no lifesteal or magic Spell Vamp rather for Kevin's Rumble. So at least in those battles, Wicked is feeling a little bit more comfortable. If Froggen can get to the point where he can insta-give somebody, that's definitely going to benefit Evil Geniuses a lot.
How about SK now pushing this middle turret out there? They need to be a little worried, because Froggen was coming in, and as we saw earlier on, a light binding can be all that it really takes to finish things off. As you said, Snoopy was leveling his Q out here, so let's take a little bit of a peek at that one. And he's at what, 180, 200, 300 damage on his Q at this point, I think.
So that is in total damage. The additional stacks is plus 129, and he is maxing his Q over the rest of his abilities. 4 points into Siphoning Strike, and then 1 into Wither, 2 into Spirit Fire. So a little different to what we've been seeing. He has had a successful gank in the top lane, so we'll see how it actually pans out as we get later into this matchup. I feel like he wants to try to be a little bit more of a damage threat, more of a scary fighting champion than anything else. So at the moment, still a fairly slow game, and it's actually been fairly farm intensive, this matchup.
Yeah, and I think we could almost expect that one coming out of this match. A lot on the line, as you said, third against fourth, so neither team wants to lose. These are two teams that know each other so well. We heard it earlier. Obviously, EG have two players that were formerly SK members in the form of Snoopy and Wicked, as we just see there, Hercubot charging in. And, well, it was 1 versus 4, but bears are scary.
Bears are very scary. Crepper, though, unfazed with that Dragon Trainer Lulu, manages to get a point-blank Little Lance, and I feel like that slow was just powerful enough to prevent Hercubot actually landing that rolling thunder toss backwards. Wicked goes aggressive onto Kevin, trades some damage, and the rest of the teams are sort of stacked up 4v4, but look at the top lane.
Here we go, Twisted Fate coming in, the stun card will land. Wicked gonna be in trouble, and, well, by in trouble I mean dead.
That is the truth. Gold Card managing to follow Wicked before the stealth came up, so that is crucial to that. What it does mean, though, is look at the reply. 2 members of SK in the top lane push the tower down. 4 members of Evil Geniuses realize they have this advantage. They've caught out Hercubot, but the Lantern pulls him to safety. Do they have enough to take the tower?
Well, they fling Snoopy close in there. Actually, they are going to use everything on him. The box even catching him there with one side. The bullet time comes across, but it's not really doing too much damage. There's a slow coming down from the other people. The laser after the light binding is going to take down one. Almost took Nif with it as well.
Now the top lane, Ocelot and Kevin continue the pressure. They're going to shove down the top inner turret and put themselves 3 towers to 2 as soon as that falls. Very, very crucially for SK Gaming, they defended that middle inner turret, but Froggen and Crepper, they are out for blood. The speed boost was up on Froggen. Can he get a light binding?
Oh, they've got it in here on towards Ocelot, as we are going to see Wicked charging. It's Yellow Pete that gets it in the end. But can they get onto Kevin? No, I'm not going to saunter off away from that one, but making the best of a bad situation, I think we can say, Evil Geniuses, with that top push.
So they end up trading 2 for 1 in terms of kills, but they lose 2 towers for 0 because both of the top lane towers went down following the death onto Wicked. So, congratulations to SK, showing that they've still got control of the map. They extend that gold lead a little bit further. Snoopy's ghosted in for this one. He wants Nif.
Yep, and we've got Froggen coming in from the side as well. They've slowed him down. Where's the light binding? That will lock him up. Wicked gets that kill. They decide not to chase the bear. He went off towards that Wraith camp, and EG turn around to do the Dragon. Now, this is 5 versus 4 if SK decide to go in.
SK have stacked up. They've got a little bit of vision towards the entry, but not on the Dragon Pit, so they're going to have to engage blind. Equalizer is available, but there's the vision they need.
And towards Candy Panda, who's absolutely nuked down here. Ocelot did use the Destiny to get involved in things as the Equalizer comes down. They turn around and fight. I'm not sure this is the best decision. Kevin will flash away. The light binding misses on towards Ocelot. Good wild card. SK turn around. They've managed to get Yellow Pete very low, but can Ocelot finish him? No, he can't, but he gets Prepo. Then he dies in the end, and that will be a 4 overall for what?
Such a crazy fight. They managed to get 4 for 1, and they got the Dragon as well. So securing that additional map objective, a good fight for Evil Geniuses. The pick composition is what they needed. They managed to blow up SK right at the beginning of that fight, and because they had then the man advantage to counterbalance, they managed to carry on pushing and fighting. There was a very good equalizer from Kevin, though. He got it on the entry to the jungle of SK Gaming, and EG stood on that for a good 2-3 seconds combined. So good placements on those equalizers, and if he can continue to do so, it's going to help the oncoming team fights.
Yeah, but that's the danger. I'm really surprised, actually, that SK turned around and risked that one, because if you look at EG's composition here, you've got the likes of the Glitter Lance, that light binding, the Wither coming out, 3 abilities which can catch you out so ridiculously well when you turn around and they decide, okay, we just kite you now. The low HP members just back away from it, and you don't get away from that light binding from the Glitter Lance, from the Wither. You know, Wither and Glitter Lance are basically snares rather than slows. They pull you down that slowly.
It's that powerful, there's no other word for it. And when you've got champions that rely on getting in range to deal damage, like Rumble, like Volibear, who have to be in melee range to get the most of their abilities, that's where those snares/slows become extremely important. So the game does reset. All of a sudden, the gold is now completely even, thanks to the Dragon, thanks to the number of kills, and Evil Geniuses get a second breath of life, if I can go that far. It wasn't necessarily them being out of it early on, but they were definitely behind. SK stacked up from the middle. Light binding does catch the bear.
Let's see what Hercubot can do to get away from this one. And actually, SK going to keep in there, as we are going to see the ultimate come out of Varus, but there's a bullet time straight in. The laser going to come across as well. Who's this going to... Looks like SK in trouble as Wicked dives in there, gets himself one, but they will finish off Wicked. Crepo very low. Finally, Nif going to turn back around as they go in for Crepo there with Volibear. It's Ocelot that picks it up from the side. Can he get the fling? Yes, he can, but can they lock him down? He shields himself up, but it's not going to be enough to save him. Volibear gets another one. That is a 4 for 1. Deja vu almost on the other side of the map.
Candy Panda deserves a cookie for that one, because he landed a perfect chain of corruption onto Yellow Pete. They deleted Yellow Pete from that fight. He could not get his damage down. He couldn't back up the rest of his team. SK pick up the mid turret, they pick up 4 kills, and they pick up the inner mid turret for losing only 1 champion in the process. Ocelot also escaped by the skin of his teeth. He managed to just get away, get out of range, and Wicked was dashing to him to kill him and take him out. But luckily, they shut Wicked down before he could apply his damage onto Ocelot's Twisted Fates.
Let's have a look down the items, something that, with the action going on, we've neglected here in the last couple of minutes, but you can see, switching now, comparing the top laners there, the Crystal Scepter picked up for Rumble along with Haunting Guys, that Sorcerer's Shoes. On the other side, the Gunblade, plus a Blasting Wand and an Amp Tome in there for him. Both junglers actually already got that Runic Bulwark in there. On the other hand, there's a Spirit Stone still for Nasus, and the Locket of the Iron Solari finish there for Volibear. Mid laners, we've got the Lich Bane plus that Seeker's Arm Guard needs to large rod, so we're almost at the Zhonya's at this point. Is Ocelot compared to Froggen, who's going all out and going to kill you in one go.
I'll take a look at this. Candy Panda alone in the bottom lane. The Blade of the Rune King slows him, and he might get away here for a little bit.
For a little bit, that was a good disclaimer added into that one, because Froggen manages to clip him with the light binding. The laser finishes off, and that is 5 men going in there for the hunt. But look at this, SK Gaming think that they can have themselves a Baron from this one. There's no vision down there for Evil Geniuses, but they are heading north. They've already sniffed that this could be happening to them. Yellow Pete with that strut on will be the first one to get in range of that one. SK have got wards down to spot this happening. The Baron is down to just 1900 HP. Here comes the bullet time from the side, but it's going to be picked up here by SK. They decide not to follow. Twisted Fate going to get involved. There's a flash over the wall from Crepo, but he gets destroyed by Kevin. They're hunting taking Nif down. Ocelot actually going to decimate away from this one as the light binding's coming. Kevin is in all kinds of trouble. He turns around, manages to take down Froggen in the process. Wicked now getting in there as well. It was Yellow Pete who finally killed off Kevin. He got also the kill on towards Nif. Urcubot is running away, but he will only be running for a while. Double kill coming down there in the end by Wicked, but now Candy Panda's here. Ocelot is still off towards the side. This is the never-ending fight as we do see Ocelot flash over the top there. They don't quite get Wicked, who himself flashes away. Snoopy is going to go down finally to Candy Panda. There's the Q out of Candy Panda, and the flash over the wall by Yellow Pete, the flash over the wall by Candy Panda. Do they even have any cooldowns, these guys? All the flashes burnt in this fight. There goes the E dropping, but Wicked going to be hidden under the shroud. He comes out of the backside, and he's going to walk away. Crazy, crazy stuff here with SK and EG.
What a crazy battle. At the end of it, the only person that actually comes out with the Baron buff still active is, in fact, Ocelot playing Twisted Fate. Varus was dead when it was taken, and everybody else from SK did die in that engagement. It brings the kill score to 13-12, and SK, thanks to the play, thanks to some of the kills, and that big chunk of gold that it gives your team, they've extended their gold lead to 40,000 to 37,000. So they're still in that driving position, and what a good call from them. They realized the entire EG team was down in the bottom lane. They knew that they could pick that Baron up, and they managed to secure it. A little bit of nodding heads here, or high fives in the river, but no snares, so therefore no kills for EG.
EG now looking for this dragon. As you said, more of an on-the-fly decision there to go towards that Baron. Not really something that you'd say, okay, Baron, let's close out the game. The equalizer actually put down here, and SK going to try and get in. The hook will land over the wall. Here comes Ocelot. There's the Varus ulti. Bullet Time going to look to zone them out, but they don't care. The laser coming in. Kevin picks up the first kill on towards Snoopy. Wicked dives into the back line to take out Varus, but they will beat Wicked going down. There's another light binding. He's not got the laser to finish off with that one, and that is another 2-for-1 in favor of SK.
Such good calls from SK. They're showing real bravery in their play. They started that engagement by Kevin burning the equalizer. He dropped it on the exit or the entry to the jungle of the Evil Genius's blue buff, and that was immediately followed up by Nif using that death sentence. I do feel that he made a little bit of a mistake because he didn't follow up. He didn't use the secondary cast to jump over the wall and put the box down. So if they had done that, they may have gotten more from it. But nevertheless, they trade some kills. Wicked he got enough damage down onto Candy Panda to secure a kill. Now that Candy Panda's got that Infinity Edge as well as a red pot, it may be a little bit more difficult to chunk down in those engagements.
Yeah, certainly it will be. Blade of the Rookie, Infinity Edge, red pot. If you look over on the other side, Misfortune going Bloodthirster, Phantom Dancer for the start of this one. Obviously the Dragon, I don't think we even talked about it after that happened, obviously did go over to EG, so they might not be too sad about trading off those 2 kills, although one of them was onto Wicked, which gave a 432 gold bounty over to Ocelot, so probably not the happiest thing to happen.
Definitely not. Ocelot, who's a little bit behind in CS, but thanks to the Baron, thanks to the towers, he's probably fairly comfortably there on gold. Interesting item pickup here from Snoopy's Nasus. He's decided to go for boots of swiftness there, so going to have a lot of movement speed, going to try to be sticking to his opponents and to his targets, and when you combine that with his ultimate, the Fury of the Sands, which deals percentage HP damage, he's going to be burning his opponents a lot. He has got a chain vest in his back pocket. I expect that to become a Sunfire Cape, and that's just going to be continue allowing him to split push and really deal a lot of damage over time.
It's just spinning up the hook there, couldn't quite land it in on towards Crepo's Lulu. But SK are pushing all the lanes out here. They've already taken inner turrets on the top and that middle lane. Bottom lane still has an inner turret there, but the creeps are actually fairly far pushed up the map, so SK might want to go back with someone and start to push that lane through. And in the same time, they've warded up the entire bottom side of the jungle. The top side of the jungle is nicely covered as well by SK, so they're doing everything right at this point.
SK have had, I think, the superior vision for the majority of this matchup. In terms of that mini-map, they've had the majority of the river has been warded for most of the game up till this point. Now that all those outer and most of the inner turrets are down, they've pushed that ward line further forward because they're comfortable on their side of the map. EG are the ones that are out of their comfort zone by extending past the river, whereas because SK have got all those towers down and they've got sort of a backline to fall to on that inner side of their map, they're more comfortable. Ocelot doing his job perfectly and split pushing with Twisted Fate. He's got that blue buff up, he's got the movement speed from Lichbane, and you see how quickly he clears those waves out, just keeping EG on the back foot, keeping them defending.
Yeah, he's actually just going to split up a little bit there, but as you said, the waves against the wild cards and those red cards just don't last very long whatsoever. He's going to send a wave right onto that inner turret. SK, I'm going to expect them to maybe keep pushing middle here because of that ward that they've got down. They can see the EG are going towards the inner turret, and they've totally zoned them out of being able to defend that inhibited turret at this point. And as you can see, they are going straight in onto it there. No minions at this point to really tank that one up from them, but Ocelot with that Lichbane in there, good amounts of AP, you know, he can get in there and do that good damage to that turret.
And they've got 3 people that could actually tank up for a little bit of time. There's a fair amount of HP on Rubble. You've got a decent chunk of armor on both Volibear and Twisted Fate. So if they decide to pick those battles when there's no minions, they can actually be in a fairly comfortable position. Finally, Crepo, he's got that Oracles, he's had one for a little bit, but clearing out the wards, SK immediately respond by going back to that mid lane when the death sentence comes out from Nif, but doesn't manage to catch a champion, and they immediately back off.
Just backing off from that one again. The bottom lane was pushed out somewhat by Evil Geniuses. SK go back. Baron is up in 30 minutes. Dragon itself in 1.5.
Now take a look at this. SK are being super cheeky. They're waiting in position. Can somebody get caught? Hercubot's going to commit, but they've got vision on him, so they know he's there. Evil Geniuses are going to be well aware that something's happening, and there's the Destiny.
Oh, they've managed to get in on towards Wicked. Can they finish off? Bullet time coming across the side. There's the laser. It catches a lot of them. And the box goes down as well. Wicked starting to lose a lot of HP. It's a double kill for Varus. Crepo gets the Glitterlance down. The Shirelias is going to be used by him, and that's going to allow Froggen to get onto this top side of the map. He has no flash available as Kevin almost being caught out by him, but he has got the damage, and that is a 3-for-0. But SK took a lot of damage in the process. That's going to delay at least a pick-up on Baron.
It may delay it, but it's definitely not going to, prevent it because those death timers are fairly high. We may actually see SK quickly back, spend some money, and try to rush this Baron down. It's going to be pressure on EG to hold that one. But a really good fight there coming out from SK. They picked the engagement. A funny Destiny usage from Ocelot. He literally traveled from the left side of the lane to the right side of the lane to put the gold card down, but it's exactly what his team needed. So you can see them stacking up towards Baron. They're going to need Candy Panna to get in there to really melt it very quickly, but they may actually decide to just ward up and start the Baron before Candy Panna gets there.
Yeah, we've actually seen elixirs being picked up here for Rumble and for Volibear as well, so they are ready for this one. They want to make that last final fight here, take down the Baron and start pushing right through into that EG base.
Great item pickup here from Candy Panna in that previous shopping spree. He's picked up that Quicksilver Sash, so he can get rid of the Wither. He can get rid of the Snare from Lux, and he's going to get a big chunk of gold from this massive creep wave on the bottom lane. Immediately push that out. You can see on the minimap that as Snoopy and Froggen are taking blue, Ocelot is pushing the top lane. So EG are really playing, SK are really playing this by the numbers, getting each of their lanes pushing in their favor. And you have to feel that if the creep waves continue in that fashion, then that's when they're going to go for Baron, because both Baron and Dragon are up and standing and waiting to be taken down.
So Ocelot's whole reason for pushing out that wave, not only to be pushing them up towards the base, but to get that last bit of gold that he needed to finish off that Rabadon's death cap, and give him that extra boost that he's going to need coming into this next fight. Yellow Pete got himself the last whisper on his shopping trip home as well, so really getting down towards those real final item builds at this stage of the game. Nif does have that Oracle on. They're going to be clearing out. There's one in the back of the Baron pit as well, and Froggen might have to be called upon here again to use his laser to be stealing stuff.
It's going to be a lot more difficult against Hercubot's Smite, and you can see they're not going for Baron because Smite is not available yet. They're going to wait for that spell to come off cooldown before they pick any sort of engage. Hercubot has already had to defend his Baron from one potential steal earlier in the game, and we've seen Snoopy actually using it to fend off the Dragon. So both junglers not messing up their Smites just yet. Now we see that the spell is available. They may actually pick a battle. Kevin throws out the Electro Harpoon. Equalizer's available. Look for the SK engage.
Wicked there inside of the Shroud, but we are going to see Twisted Fate ult come in. There's the hook landing down on Snoopy. The Equalizer's on the back line here as the laser comes across. The bullet time comes in. Snoopy going to die. Varus actually throwing his ulti down will keep Wicked away from him, and this is going to be a complete destruction of the EG team. Froggen the only man to get away. No men dead here for SK. A triple kill for Kevin Kevin's Rumble coming in from this one, but can they push through here? Look at the spawn times, 40 seconds for Yellow Pete, 30 seconds on Crepo. They want to tank it up. It's going to have to be Volibear that does that here after the minions. In fact, they'll probably have it away before they need to tank any damage from it. There is the inhibitor going to fall. And SK, they know how they throw games in this position before. They have been this close to winning before in games. They end up losing him as Froggen snipes off Nif there. Completely random off towards the side, but still 4 men of SK still alive, and that Baron is itching to be taken.
Good prediction shot from Froggen in that fight. So one of the key things was that the equalizer separated half the team. Yellow Pete and Crepo had to get over the equalizer to join the party, and Crepo stood on the equalizer for the entirety of its duration. Once Wicked tried to get to the backline of Candy Panda and Nif, the box and the chain of corruption really just prevented him from getting in space, getting in range to deal damage. He was locked up by that chain, and there was enough time and enough damage from the rest of SK to, pick up the kill onto Wicked. Wicked's trying to get towards that Guardian Angel, I believe, from the Chain Vest and the Null Magic Mantle, and we'll see whether or not it actually pays off and helps him out in this particular engagement. His lane opponent, though, has the Hourglass.
Yeah, that's 2 Hourglasses that we've got on the SK team, which means they can really jockey around in terms of who's targetable and who's not in these next fights coming in. We'll see how they utilize all that. But SK now getting back into position towards that Baron buff area. Wild cards coming out from Ocelot, see if he could sneak anything away from that Wraith camp that was being done. Thresh coming in from the backside. That's Nif, of course. I believe he does have an Oracle on at this stage. I would certainly be expecting it when they are a nice chunk of gold ahead.
So talking about those Hourglasses, I imagine SK value their time alive as they're setting up again for another side gank in this mid lane. Evil Genius says, you've seen this before so many times, why are you making the mistakes?
Let's see how this one goes down. Stun code actually put on towards Crepo. Snoopy tries to tank the damage of the bullet time, not really having an effect on them. The box did go down. Wicked got one before being finished off by Candy Panda. That will be a 2-for-1 now. What is SK's response going to be here? To be honest, the health of EG is not high enough to even be thinking about challenging for that Baron.
No, and not having Final Spark makes life a lot more difficult for EG as well. Technically, that's the 3rd time we've seen that fight happen, and it's the least bad result for EG. They traded 1 for 2. I wonder what's going to happen the 4th time they pick a battle in the mid lane. SK Gaming are going to take an uncontested Baron. Nobody from EG is even in range to contest. Crepo's going to try get there, but he's going to be way too late. And Baron gets picked up, the 2nd one of the game, and now a 10,000 gold lead for SK.
Yep, and SK sending a couple of men back here. That's this 2,400 gold here on Varus to spend 1,000 for Rumble. 700, it was more actually for Thresh as well. So they're going to be coming back even stronger into this one. You can see there the overall totals. Almost 4,000 in the top lane, 13,700 to 12,100. So Froggen, he's still actually ahead on the farm here. Well, that's because they've been pushed so far back into their base so often. He's had so much time to catch up on that one. Also, the fact that Yellow Pete has caught up on CS as well. But if you compare the items there between the 2 AD carries, Infinity Edge, Blade of the Ruin King, Quicksilver Sash, and the Last Whisper coming out of Candy Panda compared to Last Whisper, Phantom Dancer, and the Bloodthirster for Misfortune.
Those additional defensive stats that are offered by that Quicksilver Sash is really helping Candy Panda in these engagements, because you've seen Wicked diving onto him a number of times and being unable to pick up that kill. So, once we see some defensive items being collected from Yellow Pete, that may turn into his favor. But the big story there is the fact that Snoopy is so far behind. It was about 3,000 or so gold the last time we checked, and he still has not got that Sunfire Cape completed. He's going to need to get some additional statistics on his side to really be more helpful in that role, because even with his ultimate and Wild Growth going down, he's still being chunked down so quickly. A 5-man Baroned up SK, they want this inner turret.
And I think that EG are going to be forced to fight here at some point, because now SK are starting to work their way straight through. There's the final inner turret that was left in the entire game for EG, and now they're working straight in towards that inhibitor, and they have to decide here, EG, do they fight or do they let this inhibitor turret go down?
And look at the damage onto Wicked. Just a couple of abilities from that Death Sentence and the Wild Card, plus a Piercing Arrow. drop his HP by a third. He cannot take that amount of poke. They've caught Oslo, and what an hourglass.
Yeah, that was right on time there, just before the laser actually connects onto him. And Frogger now without that, that is a big chunk of damage that EG are not going to have if they want to try and hold on to this inhibitor turret. Going very, very low. Wicked and the rest of the team pretty much being slowed down. They go in towards Snoopy. There's Chain of Corruption, the box coming in. Bullet Time's not even scratching the surface here. Yellow Pete will fall down as well. Kevin now dominating, and SK surely going to finish the game right here. Wicked and Froggen, the only two men left alive. First Nexus turret goes down. The second one is ripped apart easily. The hook will land onto Froggen. Wicked dives into the middle. He dives. The laser comes across, which takes out Thresh. Well, SK are going to be evil geniuses here. A much-needed win for Ocelot and the team.
Great play from SK Gaming. Their team fighting was spot on. During the mid-game, when they needed to have pressure on the map, Ocelot's Destiny and his Twisted Fate was on point. He was doing what he needed to do at the time. And every single engagement, the equalizer from Kevin was spot on. I cannot, say more about how important that one ability was. It dealt the damage, it did the zone control, and it really helped SK win those team fights.
Fantastic, fantastic performance coming out of SK. EG 0 for 2 today. Not the position they wanted to be in, but that's it from us for now at the caster desk. Let's go over to the analysis, where we have Freak, Jason, and Feral Pony.
Well, you guys mentioned it. Kevin's equalizers certainly did not make that game very equal. SK had an amazing, amazing game right there. And Feral Pony, you mentioned that you made Rumble. How did it make you feel seeing him in that game?
It made me feel actually really great. And this is on the 3.5 patch, so this did have the Rumble alt nerfs in, where we kind of pulled the initial damage and put more into the dot effect. And so we actually saw a lot of really strategic Rumble alts that played as opposed to the sniping burst damage alts that we've seen in previous games. So that was actually really, really cool to watch. Like, these ult placements in all of these games have been amazing.
Yeah, so you kind of saw like the mastery of that champion there, and he did quite well. Jason, what do you think about this game?
Wasn't very equal, like you said. We saw some really good play out of SK right there. I mean, EG, they almost came back, but SK just seemed to outplay them a little bit. We had, Hercubot, he was helping all the lanes quite well. Like, we saw him go for the first blood in the top lane. He visited bottom a couple of times, even though he didn't pick up a kill. The first time, he was really impactful everywhere except that mid lane. And Ocelot as well on Twisted Fate. That's the third game of the day that we've seen Twisted Fate picked, and he did a phenomenal job. I mean, he appeared in the top lane. And the biggest point of his ultimates were to spot Wicked. They didn't need a pink ward because they had his ultimate, and when they had that down, they would just burst Wicked as much as possible. And
we saw it time and again. Wicked was like, "Oh crap, they caught me!" Smoke Shroud, oh, and he would just get revealed through it anyway. I actually looked at that too, and it was like every single time he got revealed. And Twisted Fate, he was massive, and the Rumble was massive. Froggen did an amazing job on Lux as well, 5, 3, and 9. You saw Candy Panda was a bit of a black hole. He's kind of a light magnet there. Light bonding just seemed to find him over and over. And even without a Kayle, even without any kind of a healer at all, SK still won those fights.
Yep, that Quicksilver Slash definitely came into play as the game did progress on. But we do have a couple of replays, and we want to show one in particular off the bat. It's when Baron was being done by SK. We had Candy Panda in the bot lane. He got dove and killed. And then it was a 4-man Baron take for SK. Go ahead and get that on your screen and just show you exactly what happens here, because in the end it was a 3-for-3 trade, but it did give that Baron over to SK. And as we see right here, Yellow Pete, he comes in. He was expectant since no one was there. He tries to use the bullet time, but it's just not really doing any damage at this point. He does get hooked, but cleanses right away. And then, of course, we see Crepo come in from the side. I really like the call that was made by EG to go in for this, because they pretty much knew they could go for it. They pretty much knew they could win this fight because they had Froggen up. But Crepo just out of position gets bursted down completely. And the rest of the fight does develop. But Ocelot actually uses ultimate just to get towards the top side, just to clear vision and get away from everyone. You see the nice ultimate come out of Kevin, like you're saying, for opponent, just destroying Froggen right there with a Rylai's, just killed him before he could be taken out. And then, of course, Wicked tries to go after Nif right here. And he does pick up that kill, but it didn't matter in the end. You even had some nice play of Ocelot trying to come from the side and, try to help out somewhat. But in the end, they didn't pick up anything. Candy Panda did come in a little bit later and help pick up Snoopy. But overall, 3-for-3 trade, and mostly it did lock down that Baron, which is really key for SK to kind of take a nice lead, because the gold was really even.
It was a cool sort of thing to see as well, this strategy there, where they basically, I don't know if they baited out Candy Panda specifically, but they realized so many resources were spent all in the bottom lane. And there's normally something we see from top laners or Shens or guys with teleport. AD carries, you see that a fair bit less.
Yeah, that's a lot to commit into a bait. I mean, that's your guy who's going to be doing the damage at 30 minutes in. He's the guy that needs you to help kill Baron, since he's Varus. it was a ballsy move, but, you know, high risk, high reward.
How do you feel about that one?
I feel great, actually. That was an amazing game to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just what can we say? I mean, we really want to say that Kevin was an absolute MVP that game. I mean, he was amazing on Rumble, and we saw that over and over. You had a second replay, though, you wanted to bring out, so let's toss that up, too.
This is where SK just seems to keep finding EG. It's like another trilogy right here, where they keep catching them in that middle lane. They use that Rumble ultimate to lock them down. It's about 30 minutes in, 15-13. There's a nice 6,000 gold lead for SK, but we see right here just how dominating SK's team fight capability is. So I get that on your screen and show you exactly what kind of happens here. I'm going to go a little bit slow because, you know, SK, this is the second time this is the second time they go for this gank. And then you just have the team waiting right by the side. Hercubot's the one to engage, and you see Ocelot pops the ultimate, just like we're talking about, give vision on Wicked so he can't actually stealth up. They try to burst him down, but Ocelot actually flashes into the backside for Wicked, trying to go for that kill, but he ends up getting away a little bit. We see a nice frag and ultimate come down, but the real key point is it doesn't do enough damage. And then you see the entire group of SK just, that makes sense. EG grouped up right there, and because of that, look how much AoE damage Kevin is doing to the team, not to mention Candy Panda on the side. They just get demolished. I was going to say one by one, but they just all seem to fall lower and lower at the same time. And we could try to go into that back line. Wasn't able to pick anyone up, but a great play of Ocelot to just get into the line, give him the vision. Not to mention that Zhonya's was so key because he would always, you know, Zhonya's the Lux ultimate, or when Wicked would get on top of him, he would use it. It really created plays, and that's Messiah version 2. Yeah, really the only guy that could ever all in was actually Candy Panda. He was the only one. He was the AD carry. They went for him. Of course, he went Quicksilver Sash, as you mentioned, had a bunch of lifesteal, had the Blade of the Ruin and King of the Disengage as well. Yeah, I mean, you had Zhonya's Kevin, right? Rumble, you've got Rumble with shields. He's got Riley's and Haunting guys. Like, there's no one you can assassinate anymore from that EG lineup, and you saw Wicked get chunked out every single fight. Yep. That was the punishment. I mean, that's all you have to do. We've seen it happen before. If Wicked gets into the back line, yeah, you can stealth up, but not with the TF ulting, so you're going to be spotted. You can be locked down with stuns. You can be locked down with grabs out of Thresh. And he just got taken out. I mean, that's just well played by SK. Yeah, and of course, one more time, the MVP for this matchup, definitely Kevin. Have to give it to him for an amazing, amazing match of this game. 13, 4, and 10, 222 minion kills, just absolutely the demolisher in every single fight. Guy played super awesome. So props to Kevin for being amazing in that game. And of course, we do have an interview with Nif from SK. So Shocks, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm standing here with Nif. Now, Nif, first match of the day, you lost against Fnatic. You got really pressured by TF. Is that why you decided to go for him in your team comp?
Nah, not really. Just had that feeling that he's really good this time, and then we decided to pick him. Had nothing to do with the first game.
Okay. But a very good game for you guys. Good start, and then deciding factor probably that Baron at 24 minutes. Impressive play there. Who made the call for that, or how did that happen?
In TeamSpeak first, Candy said that someone will be bot lane. Especially Akali will be there, but we didn't know all 5 were there, and as soon as we saw all 5, John made the call to go for Baron, and we got Baron there.
Now, what impressed me in this game was that your team play seemed really on point. You just made a call and you went for it. How come that you always seem to bring something more when you play EG?
I think it's just that we are more confident against them, and we know our strength, and we are really good in team fights, and that was our playstyle this time.
About the All-Star voting, if I look across the board, there's no SK player anywhere in any of the top 2s for any position. Do you think someone deserves to be there?
I think especially Kevin from our team deserves to be there. Like, he plays every game really good, but he doesn't shine like the other top players because we struggle at the moment a bit, and he deserves it to be there.
Thank you very much, Nif. Now, what better way to close out the day than with a confrontation between the #1 and #2 team in our standings. Leaders Fnatic seem unbeatable at the moment, but if there's anyone that can stop them, it's Gambit. Gambit versus Fnatic as our last match of the day, coming up next.